Good day to all my new listeners. I'm Xueli I'm an international model with albinism and a UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador. I'm doing this podcast series about racism and discrimination. In those podcast series, I'm talking with young persons who face discrimination and or racism to find out more how we can fight racism and discrimination and about their daily lives and the differences between countries. Today I'm speaking with Nikwi from the Netherlands. She works with Adoptiepedia, an adoption association for Chinese and Taiwanese adoptees and their families. Hi Nikwi, very nice to meet you. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Great, thank you. Could you briefly introduce yourself?
Of course. So my name is Nikwi Hoogland. I'm the founder of Adoptiepedia, and it's a foundation especially for Chinese and Taiwanese adoptees. We created the foundation in 2020 during COVID. I think a small part of the creation of this foundation is also racism that started with the COVID pandemic. But yeah, we created this foundation for Chinese and Taiwanese adoptees to give them more recognition, more connection with each other, and of course, a very safe space to talk about things that they usually wouldn't speak about with other people.
Yeah, I was many times with your events, and it's very warm, and we really can bond with each other. And I think it's a different layer to it. I mean, we can really understand each other because we are all Chinese and all adoptees, or Chinese Taiwanese adoptees. And I think the bonding is something beautiful, and especially in COVID time, where the people I have talked to, they said, well, I'm seen as a super spreader, as the coronavirus. How do you feel about that? And did you also experience this kind of racism?
Yeah, definitely. I really love how the community is building right now, but I don't like the fact that we have to build a community because it means that there's still like separation from other people that won't see us, hear us, recognize us as people that have a different background, like being adopted. And yes, I have definitely experienced racism during the COVID period. One time I was just shopping in a supermarket, very innocent. And then three guys were walking towards me, and one of them, and it was also a person of color, so it just shocked me even more. Like it shouldn't shock me even more, but it did. And then the person said, like, pointing at me, "Oh, watch out, Corona!" And I was like, "What? I'm just buying pineapple, and you're bullying me in the midst of a supermarket." And we're both mid-20s because he was just as old as I was. So it was very weird. And I love the fact that his friends, they didn't react at all. Usually I'm very known that other people will go laugh and also mock you or make it even worse. But these friends just looked at him like, I don't know what you're saying, dude. I don't think it's funny. And I just walked upon him and I just looked in his eyes like a very disapproval look. And he looked back and he was just ashamed, I think. So he just walked by like, okay, nothing happened then. But it was a very nasty experience. Before that, I was in another store and people instantly spoke English to me. And I really hate it when it happens because I'm a fluent Dutch speaker, a native speaker. And I hate it when people instantly go in English to me, especially when you've seen them talk Dutch to other people before you that don't have that exact outside as I have.
So they are also saying to you, oh, your Dutch is so good.
Also, yes, frequently. I hate it when it happens.
The Netherlands is a very international country. I mean, most of the Dutch speakers also speak English, but we should say to all the listeners who are first language Dutch speakers, please speak to everyone Dutch, and if you think they do not understand, then speak English. I do not look Chinese. I mean, with my hair and with my skin color, but I can also feel the pain, but maybe not how you can feel it. It's very sad that This video, this podcast should be made in order to end racism and discrimination, because I'm a person with albinism, I face discrimination. I do not face racism, but it's just painful.
I do know that from the base out, a lot of people are basing their facts or making their own facts on assumptions or on what they know. So a lot of Dutch people know other Dutch people, like with blonde hair or brown hair and blue or brown eyes. And the very common thing you can see in with farmers or with those villages, whatever town you can call it, it's a lot of white people. So it's very normal to only look at your own species, to only think about your own species, and it's very normal to make like a pattern of things you know. So if you only know bad things about one specific group, it's very easily to point it at all the persons of the group. However, I hope that we can once live in one like nation, one world where everyone just accepts that there is some things you think in your head, but you shouldn't say out loud. So if you just give it a second, just make an open posture for someone. If you just exactly what you're saying, just start in Dutch. It's such basic things, like just start with an open mind, and then we can talk further. And of course, some people will have some patterns and some people will have some stereotyping. That's fine. We shouldn't erase that some things just happen in our minds, but you don't have to act on them.
But do you experience racism and discrimination on a daily basis, like the supermarket? Do you experience that a lot of times?
I think I experienced it less than I was younger, maybe because also I'm just older and I don't recognize it anymore, or people just have a different viewing of me because I'm just older. And I think when I'm younger, like 16 or 12, I'm way more gullible. So people can easily say things and I'm like, oh no, why did you say that? And I feel insecure, and then they keep saying it. And well, that's the spiral that works, right? Because if someone reacts on your action, then it's lovely because you have a reaction. And yeah, it's the same with I want to say the metaphor of ringing the doorbell. Um, when you're younger and you ring the doorbell and you run away, it's only funny when people react. If they don't react, it's not funny anymore. Then you just rang the bell for nothing. And what did you just do in your life? You just rang someone's bell and nothing happened. And it's the same for now, I think. Although in my early days, yes, I experienced a lot of racism, a lot of ugly words, behaviorisms like, for example, I just got helped. I was at a bar, and then two white people were coming over, and I was already standing at the bar. So I was usually the one first coming in, getting helped. But then the other two people were helped before me. And I thought, like, don't I exist in your eyes, or what's happening? And uh, also the people that were helped first, they said, like, she was here before, right? And they also experienced that it was happening, and everyone found it very weird, except for the person behind the bar. Of course, he thought, I'm not gonna help you. I'm just leave you there.
But do you think now, because of all the racism going on, do you think you are a different than a Dutch person?
I definitely think that, but I don't think that's only because of racism. I think it's because we're just another type of species. We're just a different type of group. We have a different background. We have Chinese and Dutch culture in our DNA. Well, not in our DNA, of course, but we have Chinese in our DNA and Dutch in our upbringing. So it's a mix, and I feel like a mix. I feel a mix of both sides, and I really love it, actually. But I didn't love it before. I hated it before.
When you go to China, do you think that the Chinese people will accept you sooner than the Dutch people?
No, I don't think that. I think they're very kind, so they laugh at you and they think that you're Chinese and stuff. But when I open my mouth, I don't speak Mandarin, so people will be like, I don't know what you're saying, girl. And I'm saying, I don't know what you're saying.
Which aspects of discrimination and racism do you find hard to deal with, if any?
In my head, you have like two types of scenarios which could happen. One time is expected, and one time is not expected at all. So, for example, if I walk past by a group of youngsters, I will be on my guard. Like I will be on guard. Like maybe they will say something about my outside, maybe they won't, but it's okay. I have prepared myself that it will happen, and maybe they do, and maybe they don't. Um, so that's one scenario, and that's one that you can prepare on. But then you have the other one that's completely unaware of you. Like, for example, I went to an ice salon and I wanted to pet a dog, and I said, "Can I pet your dog?" And the person behind it said that the man, the owner of the dog, said, "Yes, but don't eat it." And I was like, no, I wasn't going to. I wasn't going to eat your dog. So why are you saying this? And I felt so like surprised by that comment, and disgusted, and I just didn't know what to do. I felt a little bit stunned. So one time I was going to the funeral of my uncle. He sadly passed away, and we went to a restaurant for like a short ceremony after, you know what I
I'm
mean.
sorry for your loss.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a very hard time. um, and then my nephews and nieces, they walked in front of me, and they walked into the restaurant. And then just a second as I stepped 1 feet off the door on the door, the man said, in the door, "Oh, I'm sorry, it is a close reception." And I was like, "But I'm also a niece, please let me in." And I've already felt so emotional, so it just, and luckily my nieces and nephews, they were like grabbing my arm and said like, "She's part of the fam," and just threw me in. And I was like, "Yes, thank you so much." But it's awful that that has to happen, right? It's just so disgusting that people just assume that I won't be part of the family.
Wow. It's like you can make a whole book out of all your experience and then just give it to our government and say we have to take action. Wow, please keep sharing those stories.
I will.
You hear the stories every time, and there's a documentary about it, about Asian hate, and it still occurs and still there. And we can organize a lot of events to stop this. But if racism and discrimination is in the minds of men and women, unfortunately, how is it possible that we can stop this?
Okay, so my point of view of stopping racism and discrimination, just facing the facts that indeed we are individuals, but also we have a very normal behavior of making patterns in our heads. So I hope that a lot of people will be open to change and won't see change as I was a bad person. No, you have done maybe some not so nice stuff, but that's okay. Just accept and embrace that you have become a better person, a more beautiful person, a more open person. And I hope that with all of our individuals, we can inspire other individuals, and then we can hopefully build a world where people will be friendly to each other in a way that they can just comprehend at that time, because we can't make a step from 0 to 100 in one time. That's impossible.
Yeah, and also, if you are a person who does not experience racism, you can still be anti-racist. So it's very important that persons accept that there are also persons who do not experience racism on a daily basis or who never experience racism, that they also can fight against racism and all forms of discrimination. Do you have anything else to share with us?
Yeah, I think if you're listening to this and you have experienced racism or discrimination, I would just want to say I'm very proud of you that you're still standing here, and that you're um, trying to cope with all the things that you have may got in your head or may have gotten thrown at your skin, literally maybe. And I hope that it will get a better world with a more safer space for everyone to just walk and not feel afraid of being bullied or being afraid of getting slurs at your face. And I think everyone deserves that.
It's a great message and I fully agree. Thank you for your time and thank you to all our listeners for their time. If you have any questions, please write a comment in the comment section down below. Be kind and please respect us. Thank you.